This is my very first Raw review where I'm going to talk about 5 things that I noticed on this past Monday night's Raw. So without further ado, let's get to it. Yay! And the first thing I want to talk about is the opening segment. Usually WWE drops the ball on the opening segment of Monday Night Raw week in and week out. And for example of that, last week we had Eve Torres crying in the middle of the ring for what seemed like eternity. That was just horrific. But this week we got CM Punk and what I thought was going to be starting off the show and what everyone else thought was going to be the rematch from Friday Night SmackDown against Daniel Bryan. And don't get me wrong, I love their matches. I love CM Punk and Daniel Bryan meeting up. I love the whole independent background both of them have. They face each other many of times throughout the years. And I love Daniel Bryan as a heel. That's just awesome. But I was not excited to see Punk and them hyping that match so early in the program. I mean, we just saw that same match on Friday night. Well, sorry, Tuesday on the Super SmackDown. And that rematch that they've been hyping all week, but at the start of the show, I was kind of leery. I thought they were going to drop the ball in another opening segment. That was until this happened.
Bryan, that there is Chris Jericho.
Y2J comes out, and even better, he has the microphone in his hand. And we all know that ever since the beginning of December when those vigilants started happening, we all knew Chris Jericho was going to be coming back. We wanted the Jericho-Punk feud. We wanted the verbal battle, and we finally got just a taste of it on this past Monday Night Raw. And just one of the best lines in probably promo history right here.
He's Canadian too. Did you invent him being Canadian? Did you invent Canada?
Now, I know there's only a handful of wrestlers in the WWE that has approval from Triple H and Vince McMahon not to use a script while they're doing their promos in the ring. CM Punk being one of them. I'm not 100% about Jericho, I can only assume, but just knowing that Punk is just shooting off the hip at this point and just going off the top of his head, that's brilliant. And when he's talking about Canada, I was just hoping for a Winnipeg moment.
From Winnipeg, you idiot!
And I'm looking at Punk to bring this up sometime during this feud. I mean, if anyone does, it's him. A video that got blown out of proportion like this. I mean, he's the face. This would be a great way to get over with the crowd. So I'm looking for Punk to do that. But also, you can tell that Jericho and Punk, they just want to steal the show at WrestleMania. That they just totally want to outshine The Rock and Cena and Triple H and Taker. And I think these two can do it. I mean, they have the ring ability. They have their verbal abilities for the building up the match with their promos, and they also have the fan base. I mean, Punk with his independent scene, more younger crowd, and Chris Jericho with his WCW days, he's got a little bit older fan base. I think just look for WrestleMania, look for this match to be the most memorable match of the night. It'll be awesome. But other thoughts on the opening segment, the match between Punk and Bryan, it was alright. Just pretty much the same match from Friday. Just this one ended in a DQ with Sheamus getting involved. But also the GM feud that we saw Teddy Long and Mr. John Laurinaitis getting their little action in there. I'm liking the GM feud. I like that Otunga and Santino are given something to do. Probably lead to a match at WrestleMania. So I like that, and I'm looking forward to seeing where WWE is going to be going with this. And quick spoiler alert, if you don't like spoilers, please fast forward about a minute. Alright, actually today on YouTube someone uploaded a video of a commercial playing in their area of the SmackDown World Tour, which takes place May 5th, and it's advertising Daniel Bryan, the World Heavyweight Champion, facing Sheamus for the title. So, and as we know, they're already facing each other a month prior on April 1st at WrestleMania for the title. So this could be a spoiler that Daniel Bryan could be retaining, but also you have to keep in mind that WWE does like being unpredictable, so if this gets out as the date gets closer to April 1st, they'll probably change their mind at some point. But here's the clip. It's a little low quality, but here it is.
See these two superstars battle for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's the SmackDown World Tour live in Nashville.
And the second thing about Raw I want to talk about is, believe it or not, the Divas. There was a Divas match, but I don't really care about that. The thing I want to talk about is the whole Eve Torres situation, because I find it hilarious that this feud with Eve Torres is kind of turning into her versus Kelly, as we've seen between the little Twitter feud and her little backstage segment. But I think it's hilarious that Kelly is the one calling Eve Torres the skank in this whole situation, considering the fact that Kelly is known to have been romantically linked with almost every superstar in that locker room. And just off the top of my head, we got Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, Justin Gabriel, I think Wikipedia names like 2 others, Batista. I'm pretty sure Cody Rhodes is on that list. That's like 7 already. So she's the one calling Eve a skank. But also, what in the world happened to Alicia Fox? I'm not talking about her whole Rihanna gimmick or whatever she's trying to pull off, but more so, she grew like 8 feet since last week. I don't know what's going on there, but one last thing about the Divas. Up until this past Monday, I didn't realize how much of a creep Jerry Lawler was. So during this next clip, just watch Jerry Lawler. Kelly is by the commentary booth the whole time. Michael Cole, you can tell he's kind of more concentrated on his work, but Jerry Lawler, on the other hand, he does not take his eyes off of Kelly for a split second. Now granted, yeah, she probably is the hottest diva on the roster, but then again, you have to realize Jerry, he's about 62, Kelly, she's 25.
Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a night on Raw Super Show, and what a tag team.
And from that note, we move on to a surprisingly well done tag team title match that saw Kofi Kingston and R-Truth face Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger versus Primo and Epico, where I had no doubt that titles would be retained during this match. Good match, just I was really thinking 2 things the whole time. Where was one of the pretty much the only legit tag team WWE has? Yeah, LMFAO. And by that I do mean the Usos. Come on, it'd be a good gimmick for them. But the other thing I was thinking, why is Jack Swagger US champion? He's done nothing with it. Well, then again, Cody Rhodes hasn't done anything with the Intercontinental Championship, but still. But also, why hasn't Dolph Ziggler used his rematch clause on the US Championship? And I've asked this on other forums, and people always come up with the excuse that, well, Dolph Ziggler's in the title picture now. Well, not anymore. As of right now, he doesn't have a match at WrestleMania, and if WWE wanted to be creative within their creative department, wanted to be actually creative for once, they would have him use his rematch clause, which he didn't use a few months back in like January when he dropped the title, and use that for a match against Swagger at WrestleMania. But those are just my 2 cents, and this coming from a guy that thinks Dolph Ziggler is a bit overrated.
Epico as well. Double chokeslam from the Big Red Monster.
Apparently Kane hates tag teams now, I guess, making his first return to Raw since he lost the ambulance match against John Cena. I heard rumors before that his WrestleMania match would be against Randy Orton, so not 100% on what he's doing, rating this tag team thing. I guess maybe trying to make him look stronger, taking on like 6 guys at once. Who knows what they're going to be doing with this. And the last thing about Monday Night Raw that I want to talk about, of course, is the return of The Rock. And for those of you that didn't hear about it, Rock actually had cheat notes for his promo written on his wrist. Here's a picture to prove it. It was just basic outlines of what he was going to say that night. And of course, John Cena calls him out on it.
Just like I don't need my notes for my promo on my wrist.
And John Cena on fire for the 2nd week in a row, destroying The Rock verbally. I've never been that big of a fan of The Rock's more recent promos. They're all the same. Do his trademarks, his tongue thing, says he's going to destroy Cena at WrestleMania. All right. Every time he returns, that's it. But it just seemed like this past Monday, his promo is completely off. It was horrible, and John Cena was on fire. And especially since Rock says the words trending worldwide at least a dozen times in his promos, yeah, I think that just ruins it even more. Even though he is getting things trending, he got Kung Pao trending, he got Cena's ladies parts trending, The Rock was trending for what it's worth, which is not worth much at all. But it wasn't that great of a promo. John Cena's was much better than The Rock. And I definitely think they should have took time away from The Rock and gave it to Punk and Jericho. But that being said, that's all I have to say about this week's Monday Night Raw. And now comes my favorite part of the show, my favorite fan of the night. Favorite fan of the night. This week, my favorite fan was the guy that had the big smile on his face and looked just like Chevy Chase. I mean, this guy was in literally the background of every match, and he was smiling the entire show, just having the time of his life. He just looks like a very excited Chevy Chase. I think that's the only reason why he's my favorite.
You can chant it all you want, but I am not just telling you, I am proving to you with all the evidence.
Overall, I say the night gets a C+. But also, in this past episode of Raw, we got the debut trailer of WWE Studios' new film called Bending the Rules, which is an action comedy starring Edge. And for whatever reason, WWE thought that all of us wanted a chaperone too, pretty much, so they gave us this. They played the trailer for that, and I'm definitely not going to play the trailer for you guys, and you'll thank me for that. Also, next week on Raw, HBK returns once again to do more feud storylines with Taker and Triple H, obviously. But also, other than that, I know this is my first episode, but subscribe so I know you're there, and leave comments, tell me what you think. Other than that, I'll see you guys on Saturday when I review SmackDown. There we go.